Welcome to the Aviation Insurance Podcast, the podcast that helps aircraft owners and aviation businesses learn and understand the complex world of aviation insurance and risk management. From the basic principles of aviation insurance to risk management techniques and updates on the aviation insurance market, the Aviation Insurance Podcast is your guide to traverse the world of aviation insurance. Now, here's your host, Tim Bonnell.
Well, welcome to the Aviation Insurance Podcast, where we talk about the fundamentals of aviation insurance. We spent time talking about the construction of an aviation insurance policy for aircraft, for general liability. We've talked about all kinds of different things, and I want to talk about something today that is important in the aircraft industry, and that's the financing of aircraft and assets. And so many aircraft are financed, and in addition to other aviation assets. And so it's important to understand some of the insurance considerations that happen when an aircraft or even another aviation asset is financed in order to keep the banks happy and to make sure these things happen. And so banking and insurance are extremely important to the aviation insurance industry. Without insurance, the lenders aren't apt to lend these high values to people for aircraft and assets. And so it's important that we get everyone happy on the insurance and the banking finance side so that we can keep our aviation industry growing. And so typically, banks will have some different and alternative requirements when financing an aircraft, but typically there are a few requirements that are pretty standard. And I just wanted to go over those quickly today. These may emerge under your policy as a lien holder's interest endorsement that addresses these concerns, but typically here are a few of the elements that would make up that endorsement, or these would be separate endorsements on a policy that would address these concerns. And one of the first ones is the bank wants to be named as a loss payee on the policy. And so XYZ Bank wants to be named as a loss payee. What's a loss payee? To make it really short, it means that their name goes on the check in the event of a loss. So in order to protect their financial interest in the aircraft, they want to make sure that when there's a loss, that especially if it's a total loss, that their name's on the check, and which means they would have to sign off on it if you do something with that check. So loss payee gives them that right, saying, hey, you have a financial interest. If there's a claim, we issue a claims check, you will be a part of that claim settlement, so that the insured and the bank are on the same page moving forward in the event of such a loss. So that's a loss payee, pretty simple. The next one a bank may ask for is a breach of warranty provision. So what's a breach of warranty? And really, it's an endorsement that says that, if there is a lien on the aircraft and the insured has an invalidation of the policy for a particular reason, that the bank's interest would be protected through this breach of warranty endorsement. Now, the breach of warranty doesn't change the policy itself, but it does protect the bank's interest should the insured not be eligible for the proceeds of a loss. And again, so a few things have to happen in order for a breach of warranty to be effective. Again, this typically applies to a total loss scenario, but the banks had to have made the attempts to collect the loan balance or the loan payments from the insured. So they have to, or from the aircraft owner and insured. Typically, those payments had to have stopped in order for this to start. They must have made efforts to repossess the salvage or the aircraft itself, and they must have exhausted all collections possibilities. So if this has all happened, the bank's taken possession, and really, maybe or maybe not, but ultimately they've had to exhaust all their efforts to collect, and then they can file a breach of warranty claim with the carrier in an attempt to recover their portion of the value that's still left in the note. So oftentimes banks will have a requirement that the breach of warranty applies up to 90% or 80% of the value. It just kind of depends on the structure of the loan. Those things have changed and continue to change over time. But anyway, a breach of warranty, that's something the bank will require to help protect their interest. So it's not going to pay a full insured amount in the event of a loss, only up to the interest that they have remaining if they've exhausted all the efforts to collect after a total loss, and made every effort to minimize their financial loss in the situation. So again, this is just general terms. This isn't the policy language per se, but this is the principle of a breach of warranty. So we've got a lost payee, gets their name on the check, got a breach of warranty that helps protect the bank. It could be a lessor in some cases in the event that the insured finds himself in breach of the insurance contract, negating coverage to the insured. This will protect the bank's interest. The bank could have some other request. It could be an additional insured request to be an additional insured in the liability. That happens from time to time. I mean, typically they're not directly operating it, and additional insured status just dilutes the coverage, but they may require it in order to get the financing. That's something you may have to do. When you get a really large aircraft, airlines, and you're leasing engines and buying the aircraft, these things can get more complicated, and the certificates and contracts get a lot longer. But if we just understand the principles of how the bank helps protect themselves via the aircraft insurance owner's policy or the asset insurance owner's policy, that helps us to understand what needs to happen when financing an aircraft. So lost payee, breach of warranty, often an additional insured status for the liability protection. And again, these will often find themselves in the form of a lien holder's interest endorsement. All these terms could vary by company, but at least that is a quick overview of the insurance considerations when financing an aircraft or an aviation asset. That's all for this episode. Join us again next time as we continue navigating the waypoints in aviation insurance. Until then, enjoy clear skies and unlimited visibility.
Thanks for listening to the Aviation Insurance Podcast. If you found this episode of value, please share it with someone who would benefit from this information. Don't forget to subscribe in your podcast player so you don't miss any new episodes, and to help our show have more impact. This episode is brought to you by Aeris Insurance Solutions, your flight plan for navigating the turbulence of aviation insurance. For more information, visit aerisinsurance.com. That is www.aerisinsurance.com. Disclaimer: these episodes are for educational purposes only, and due to the changing regulatory and legal nature of the business, some information may change over time. Having a well-educated and experienced aviation insurance broker on your team is an absolute requirement to success in business and for managing your aircraft and aviation business risks.